Hello everybody, welcome to the Generic Cappy YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. I'm Amar, otherwise known as Generic Cappy, and we have an upcoming Pokémon Presents for Pokémon Day 2024, which is February 27th, 2024, and so I figured I would do some predictions for it. Normally I do these predictions a little bit earlier than closer to when the actual Presents is announced, but still I just wanted to get these predictions out there, before at least the Presents airs, so I can, see what I got right, see if any of my speculation was correct. And yeah, if you do enjoy this video, please feel free to go through the rest of the channel and watch other predictions videos, other discussion videos. I have a good amount of Pokemon TCG card opening videos on the channel, some gameplay videos. The channel is mainly focused on Nintendo stuff, so a lot of videos are Nintendo related, but if you enjoy any of those videos, please feel free to subscribe or recommend anything that you would like to see. But yeah, let us get right into the predictions. All right, so the first place I would like to start is mainly with the mobile games, because I think it's pretty guaranteed that we'll at least see 4 out of the 5, if not all of the mobile games that they're consistently updating right now. Within this Presents, we'll probably, most of them usually do show up in, every single Pokemon Presents, no matter if it's Pokemon Day or the later year one. So I figured, that would be a pretty easy prediction to start off with. The mobile games that I have listed, and I think they're most of them, if not all of them, is Pokemon Go, Pokemon Unite, Pokemon Cafe Remix, Pokemon Masters EX, and Pokemon Sleep. If there's one that I don't think will get an update during this Present, it would be Cafe Remix. But I also think that's been confirmed. I think they've been doing a picture a day leading up to Pokemon Day, and Cafe Remix was in that. So, I think we're gonna see all these mobile games get updates during the Pokemon Presents, which is very exciting. Out of all of them, the one I play the most is still Pokemon Go, followed by maybe Masters and Cafe Remix. I did play Sleep for a good amount when it came out, but I have kind of fallen off. And then I played same thing with Pokemon Unite. I played it a lot when it came out, but I kind of fell off of it, just because it's really fun. All these games are really fun, but it's kind of hard to, especially Pokemon Unite. That came out when Nintendo was finally getting their release schedule back in place, so they had games coming out pretty consistently that I wanted to play. Pokemon Snap was released maybe a couple months before Unite released, so there was a lot of games back then. Unite just kind of fell to the wayside. If they do add a Pokemon that is very cool, which I think that's my first prediction, we'll probably see a new Pokemon added to Pokemon Unite. Maybe I'll go back and play it. I know they just added, well, I'm not sure if they just added, I'm not sure if Mewtwo is still in the game. But I know they added Mewtwo at the end of or not the end, but during the last Pokemon Presents, so that's pretty cool. If I had to make a prediction on a Pokemon, I think it'll be one of the Gen 9 stars. I think Masquerada is already in the game, so it would be either Quavel or Fuecoco's Fully Evolution. I don't remember what Fuecoco's evolution is. Let me just check that. Yes, Scarlet. So either Quavel or Scarlet would appear in this Presents. I think those, since Masquerada is already in the game, I think those would be the next 2 likely ones. They could also do the box legends for Scarlet and Violet, Crydon and Miraidon. I don't know. I think it's been rumored that Miraidon's gonna be added to the game eventually, so I guess that could be in the Pokemon Presents. That would be a good announcement. I'm not sure about Crydon, but I have definitely seen people talk about Miraidon, which is very cool. Miraidon is a very cool. I did choose Violet, so Miraidon would be my personal choice out of both of them. But I think it's gonna be a Gen 9 Pokemon. I don't think they're gonna do, especially since it would be 2 years since Gen 9 was announced. This would be I guess it would also be 8 years since Gen 7 was announced. So that doesn't really make sense. But they added, I think they're gonna do at the beginning of every year they're gonna do one that's more recent, and then throughout the rest of the year they're gonna announce older Pokemon that come to Pokemon Unite. I think that's pretty cool. I'm not very, as I mentioned earlier, I haven't played Pokemon Unite in a long time. But if they do add a Gen 9 Pokemon, I do think maybe I will go play it a little bit. I'm sure everyone is a pro in that game now, though, so I'm not really sure the type of lobbies I would be able to enter and be able to contribute to the team, just because I haven't played in, I believe, 3 years. So, but we will see. We will see if they add anything cool to Pokemon Unite that intrigues me during this Pokemon Presents. Same thing for Pokemon Masters and Pokemon Go. I think we will see a new sync pair for Pokemon Masters EX. That is a pretty easy prediction, just because I do believe that during most Pokemon Presents, we do see a new sync pair added to the game, just because. I mean, that's like the main focus of the game, and like some new story added with that sync pair. So I think we will see that here. Similarly, and then for Pokemon Go, we'll probably see a new event added to the game. I'm not sure if they'll I'm not sure if, it depends, because we are already on Gen 9 Pokemon now. So would they announce that they're adding more Gen 9 Pokemon, like that appear more consistently? Maybe that's the main announcement, but it could also be just a couple of new events that they're going to be doing for the game throughout, the first couple of months of this year, which is very, very cool. And then Cafe Remix, they'll probably add some new Pokemon that you can recruit to your cafe, which is, again, very, very cool. I believe in the last Pokemon Presents, it was Tatsuguri, which is, that's kind of like it's a sushi Pokemon, and they're bringing it to the cafe. I think that's pretty cool. And then I believe I talked about everything except Pokemon Sleep. And in Pokemon Sleep, I believe they'll probably talk about like a new event that'll be coming up, as well as, maybe some new locations that, they haven't talked about before. Maybe like a new island of sorts. And then maybe some new Pokemon that they'll be adding. I'm not sure if they've ever talked about new Pokemon before they release them in the game. But, this is the Pokemon Presents. They got to bring all their Pokemon news to this one for the beginning of the year. So I do think we will see at least something Pokemon Sleep. It'll probably be like a new island, new event, and maybe some new Pokemon. Besides that, however, I do have the other prediction that I do not think we'll see another mobile game announced in this Pokemon Presents. I think they already have a good amount. They have 5 ongoing ones. Maybe they can announce one that they just released, maybe like patch here and there, but it's not like an ongoing one, and I think that'd be pretty cool. I guess the closest thing would be like Magikarp Jump that they released, I think maybe a decade ago. Maybe not a decade, maybe like 7 or 8 years ago. And they could do something like that. That'd be pretty cool, but I don't think we're gonna see like any ongoing mobile games appear in this Pokemon Presents, just because I do think that it'd be a little bit, it's already pretty hectic to go back and try to play all of them. Adding another one to that may be a little bit too much, especially since Pokemon Sleep came out last year. So again, I think it would be a little too much, and I don't think any of these are obviously getting shut down or anything. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna see a new mobile game, at least a new ongoing mobile game, appear in this Presents. Maybe we'll see like a new story one that's like single player focused. But yeah, let us now get into the other multimedia predictions that I have, besides the Nintendo Switch games that I think could appear in this Pokemon Presents, or the ones I want to predict for this Pokemon Presents. Alright, so the other multimedia predictions that I have start with new movies. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't want to talk about this one as much just yet, because it does connect to a Scarlet and Violet prediction that I have. But I do think we're going to see a new animated movie announced. This Presents could be filled with a good amount of animated items, or animated announcements, animated products. And I do think that an animated movie, especially because I don't think we have one announced for this year yet, would be a pretty good prediction. Not a pretty good prediction, a pretty good announcement, and it would get a lot of people excited. And I mean, I'll kind of allude to it. There is rumors that there is at least one more mythical to be added to Scarlet and Violet. So I think that would be a pretty cool thing. Not really pretty cool thing, but I think that could be like the basis of the of the Pokemon animated movie. And so I think that'd be pretty cool, in my opinion. I would definitely try to watch it. Normally they release them like a lot more earlier in other regions than they release it in the US. So it's usually somewhat spoiled by the time it reaches here, but still that's pretty cool. Depending on what the mythical is, I mean, it's possible it could be a one that's focused on like Peach Rent, which was just added in January to Scarlet and Violet. So if that's the case, Peach Rent is really cool. I would really watch, like I really want to watch a animated movie featuring Peach Rent. But the rumor is that there is at least one more mythical Pokemon to be added to Scarlet and Violet. So I figured, these two predictions could be kind of connected. But I guess we will see in that case when the Pokemon Presents airs in just a couple of hours. But the other movie prediction I have is for Detective Pikachu 2, the movie. We just got Detective Pikachu Returns on Nintendo Switch last October. So I think, depending on how well that game did, maybe they speed up the process for this one. Or maybe they don't do it at all. But I don't think they're going to cancel Detective Pikachu 2. Just because I think the first one was pretty cool, pretty good. It was a very good movie in my opinion, and so it would be pretty cool to watch a sequel to it. Though at the same time, I don't really know what exactly they would do in the sequel, because for Detective Pikachu Returns, we're pretty much caught up to where the movie ended, and so it'd be kind of uncharted territory, I guess. I mean, I guess the first movie was also uncharted territory, since we didn't really know what would, how this saga of the games would end until just recently in October. So I guess they could do a new story, but I also don't really know what that new story would consist of. I mean, I guess they could make it closer to, what everyone thinks like a live action Pokemon movie would look like. But I think Detective Pikachu isn't really that. So it is really confusing. I know there's been rumors that they've been writing the script for Detective Pikachu 2. And so that's why mainly I included the prediction, but maybe it doesn't exist. I don't really know. It'd be a pretty cool thing for them to show off, or at least announce in this Presents. And then say it's coming out in 2026 or 2025 or something like that. But I just don't know. I don't know yet. Out of all the predictions I've said so far, I think that's probably the one I'm most, most questioning or most, unsure about. Just because I think we're probably going to see at least an announcement for something animated movie-wise. I think we will see, obviously, all the mobile games. I don't think we're going to see another mobile game, at least ongoing mobile game, as I mentioned earlier. And I do think if there's another mythical for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, we will see it in the Presents. But I don't really know about Detective Pikachu 2. I mean, it would be the avenue to announce it, but I just don't really know. And yeah, so be a cool announcement, but I'm pretty unsure about it. And then the last two predictions I have for on-screen projects would be the announcement of a new animated miniseries like Paldean Winds or Path to the Peak. Both of those came out last year. Or I think Paldean Wind came out last year, but I know Path to the Peak definitely came out last year. So that would be, I don't know. It's probably too close to those to announce one right now, but it would still be pretty cool to see a new, miniseries. We also had Pokemon Concierge that came out in December. So maybe that prediction, maybe that goes along with Detective Pikachu 2. I think we will definitely see a live action Pokemon movie in the future at some point again, and we will definitely see like a new miniseries in the future again. But maybe it's still too early to talk about those. So I guess those go in the tier of most unsure for this Pokemon Presents. But again, we will definitely maybe they won't show it because we will also be getting something about Pokemon. We'll probably be getting something about Pokemon Horizons in this Pokemon Presents for the US. Maybe the announcement of a new season as well for regions outside the US, because I believe it's released everywhere else but the United States. I could be wrong about that, but I believe it's fully released everywhere else. So maybe instead of the announcement that the release date announcement, though I think it's already got a release date as well in the US, maybe like a mini trailer, maybe besides like a mini trailer that appears only in the English Pokemon Presents. Though I don't, yeah, I think that'd be the case. I'm not really sure, honestly. But besides that, I think that maybe they'll have an announcement like another season that appears in the Pokemon Presents for like other regions, because obviously like Pokemon Horizons little teaser for next week or 2 weeks from now for the US wouldn't be as exciting as like a new announcement season or a new announced season for other regions. But I think that is honestly all the predictions I have, besides for Nintendo Switch games. So I guess now we could just talk about Nintendo Switch games for a little while. I have about 3 or 4 predictions for the Nintendo Switch. This is probably where the wants come in more than anything else, because I think unlike most Pokemon Presents or Pokemon Day Pokemon Presents, we go in knowing that we'll see something mainline or something like new, something. So an example would be obviously on Pokemon Day, Pokemon Direct 2016, we knew we were probably gonna get the announcement of Gen 7. In 2019, we knew we were gonna get the announcement of Sword and Shield. In 2021, we knew that we were gonna get the announcement of something new, just because the Sword and Shield DLC had already wrapped up, and Pokemon at that point was pretty consistently doing they still are doing consistent releases every year. From 2021 to 2022 was the craziest period of Pokemon releases, but I think we'll definitely see something. We saw Sword and Shield, and then 2021 we saw Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and Pokemon Legends Arceus get announced, and then the year after in 2022 we saw the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet get announced, and then the year after in 2023 on Pokemon Day we saw the DLC get announced for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So there's a lot. Pokemon Day usually has something mainline related if they have a Pokemon presentation of some sort, and so but we just don't really know what that would be announced for mainline here, because it is too early for Generation 10, and we just wrapped up the Scarlet and Violet DLC, so we can't do that. I guess they could, but they already released like the epilogue, so it would be pretty hard to go back after the epilogue. But yeah, so I mean, like in 2021, we kind of felt like that we were gonna get Gen 4 remakes. It's kind of early for Gen 5 remakes. Actually, you know what? Let's get right into that section before I start spoiling some of my predictions. So yeah, I think that the most commonly predicted thing, or just like the most likely thing that we all are assuming is going to happen during this Pokemon Presents, is that we will get something that revisits Generation 2 or Generation 5. As I mentioned, I do think it's a little early to revisit Generation 5. I mean, I think we're maybe like 2 years early to revisit it. But at the same time, as I mentioned earlier, we have not had a gap year in Pokemon since 2015. And if I had to like predict like next year already, I think next year would be a gap year because, or like a smaller year, maybe for like DLC for a remake of some sort, just because I think 2026 is Generation 10, for the 30th anniversary. And so, I think after this year, they're going to focus mainly on that for next year and then most of 2026. And so I don't think we're going to have 2 gap years. So I think one of these years has to be filled with something mainline. And I think this year would be it. But it's just a little difficult to predict exactly what we will see mainline wise in the presents. My personal one is something from Generation 5. I think that that'll be fun to see something in Generation 5. Just because we obviously haven't revisited. Oh, actually, that is wrong. We did revisit it last year in Scarlet and Violet through Blueberry Academy. So I guess that could be our little tease for Generation 5 until we officially get like a remake in the next couple of years. And then in that case, I think this year would be Generation 2 remake, maybe something like Let's Go, but not exactly like Let's Go, because I think Let's Go is mainly to help the transition for people that were playing Pokemon Go to transition to the mainline games, and they don't really need that again, just because Let's Go is still being sold So I think we'll get like a smaller-ish remake of Generation 2. Maybe you'll get like a remake of Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you know, like something in that app, like that vein, you know, maybe like an HD version of Heart Gold and Soul Silver, maybe like a little bit of extra content. But so that I think that's actually my prediction. We'll see something from Generation 2 in this Pokemon Presents, but a want would be something from Generation 5. I know there's actually been some discussion about there being a game that like merges both of them. I'm not really sure if that's possible. I mean, obviously it's possible, but I'm not sure how likely that would be. Just because obviously those two are like the two generations that are next up for remakes. But again, I think Generation 5, it's a little too soon to revisit that, especially since we just revisited it somewhat in the Blueberry Academy DLC. And, you know, we haven't really seen much of Generation 2 since then. So maybe Generation 5 would kind of like overshadow Generation 2 to a certain extent. Maybe Generation 2 would overshadow Generation 5 to an extent. So it's like kind of, you know, you have to like balance it. And I don't really think that that's something they would like to do, especially when I feel like if they don't want to do a gap year next year, they could do one this year and one next year. And you know, maybe this year is Generation 2 and next year is Generation 5. And like that would bring it closer to when I think Generation 5 remakes would happen anyways. But if it is Generation 5, I do think we're going to get the Pokemon, I think we get the Sinnoh treatment for Unova, where we get the remakes made probably by an outsourced developer, so like Ilka. And then we will get something made by Game Freak in early next year. I don't really think we're going to get that for Generation 2. Actually, let me think about that one. Because I guess they could like outsource, maybe to they could outsource like Heart Gold and Soul Silver to a company to like to make like the assets in the game and everything look HD for the Switch, and then maybe they have a Legends type game for Johto. So I guess actually, and then that could be their game for next year, or they could probably maybe release it a little bit later than they released Legends Arceus. So that could actually be a good plan on their end. It's very interesting. But if we do get a mainline game this year, unless they completely surprise us with something totally different, I think it'll be something in Generation 2 or Generation 5, Johto or Unova. Besides that, however, I do want to talk about just the other thing I mentioned a little bit earlier about the mythical Pokemon. I do think we see the reveal of a new mythical in this Presents, just because, again, I think there's been a lot of discussion that there is at least one more mythical in the game. Like, maybe there's been some teases for it, I'm not really sure. But this would be the perfect time to announce it, especially before, you know, Scarlet and Violet pretty much is sunset until next generation. Not the next generation. Yes, until I guess technically next generation. And with the remakes, I think this would be a pretty good time to just reveal that mythical, and you know, everything that's associated with it. Maybe there's gonna be a new story with it, like they did with Peachrunt. But I think we will at least see it here. Maybe it'll get released around the time of the new animated movie or something like that. And yeah, I don't think we're gonna see a new Detective Pikachu game. That game just came out last year, so. But I do think we will see a new spin-off, and I think that's the last prediction I will leave you all with for this video. You know, because this is like the Nintendo Switch section, like Nintendo Switch games. But I do think we see a new spin-off for the Nintendo Switch. I don't think it necessarily needs to be a new game, in the sense that like I don't think it has to be like a new game, like a new franchise, or like a new game in a existing franchise. I think it could be a remake. And if it is a remake, I think it's going to be the Mystery Dungeon Explorers of the Sky game, just because we got in 2020 the what was it called? Rescue Team Deluxe, Rescue Team DX game remake, which was a remake of the original Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games. So I think Explorers of Sky would be the next one in line if they were to follow that up with like another remake, or we can get a new Mystery Dungeon. I would honestly prefer a new Mystery Dungeon, just because I have played Explorers of the Sky and it's really fun. It is, I think, the best Mystery Dungeon game, but they could do like they did DX in 2020. They could do a new one this year, and then maybe in 2027, 2028, they do a remake of Explorers of the Sky. I do think that's probably the most likely spin-off, a new mystery dungeon, especially since we just got Detective Pikachu Returns. That was like our new spin-off of some sort for the Switch. But if I had a want for a spin-off, it would be a new Pokemon Conquest. Either a new Pokemon Conquest, a new Pokemon Rumble, or a new Pokemon Ranger. One of the three, I'm not really sure. I mean, I know Pokemon Ranger is probably the least likely out of all of them, just because that pretty much requires you to use the touchscreen on your Switch, and obviously a lot of people play in docked mode, so they wouldn't really be able to do that, and I think it would be pretty difficult to find an alternative for the Joy-Cons. So I think Pokemon Ranger is like the lowest, and then maybe Pokemon Rumble is like in the middle. If out of all three of those, I think Pokemon Conquest would be the most likely, just because I think that's the one that you could best adapt to a hybrid console. Maybe it could be a remake. I don't really know if they would do a remake of Pokemon Conquest. I think that'd be pretty fun, but yeah. Think about it. I mean, obviously, I also wrote down Pokepark. I think out of all of those, Pokepark would be the most likely. Pokemon Park for me, it would be like right below Rumble. So it would be like Ranger, Pokepark, Rumble, Conquest in the spin-offs I would like to see return for the Nintendo Switch. But again, I think one series. I think we're going to see a new spin-off game introduced on the Nintendo Switch, especially this late into the Nintendo Switch's lifespan. I don't think we will see like a new spin-off announced. And so I think we will get an existing, but I think we will see a spin-off game announced during this Presents. I think that would be either Mystery Dungeon or a new Pokepark. Finally, the last prediction that I have is something NSO related. And I don't really know how to phrase like this prediction, because obviously I would want the Generation 1, 2, and 3 games to come to Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, Game Boy and Game Boy Advance NSO. I don't really know how likely that is, just because I know they can sell those games separately on the eShop for like a collection for like $30 each, and people would buy it. So, and I think those games are too valuable to Nintendo and the Pokemon Company to put just on NSO for everyone to play. So I think what they could do is they could release maybe like a $30 application for Generation, as I mentioned earlier, for Generation 1, Generation 2, and Generation 3 separately. And that's how you get your NSO games, your Game Boy and Game Boy Advance mainline games on the Nintendo Switch. I think that's possible. I think that's my only alternative to NSO, because I don't know if I don't think they're gonna add them, unless, I guess the only way I could see them adding them is if they only do Generation 1 for, well, actually, think about it, Johto is in this 25th anniversary right now. So I guess they could do 25th anniversary, Generation 2 added, and then Generation 1, Generation 2 added to NSO. I guess that is possible, but I do think they'll probably sell them separately. And I think if they are sold separately, we're going to see the announcement in this Presents. And it'll be like right before they announce the spin-off or the mainline game. But yeah, I think they aren't really missing any other NSO games spin-off wise. I know some people were talking about they should add or they should localize Pokemon Trading Card Game 2 for a Game Boy, and like add that to NSO for the other regions outside of Japan. I think that'd be pretty fun, and I think they've already done that once on NSO, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't really know if they would do that for Pokemon Trading Card Game 2. And yeah, that is pretty much, I think, all I have for prediction wise. I'm very excited for this Pokemon Presents. It is airing in about 11 hours at the time of recording this, which is very exciting. We don't know how long it's gonna be, so I don't know how much of this will actually be able to fit in a Pokemon Presents in the first place. Because obviously there's also gonna be like announcements that I just wasn't able to predict that will appear there, like maybe new clothing collaboration, or a they could talk about this year's Pokemon Worlds or something like that. So I don't really know. But I do think at least like a couple of these predictions will come true in some type of form in the Presents. But again, that is all I have for you all today. So I hope that you all are doing well and staying safe. I hope that you all are excited for the upcoming Pokemon Presents and Pokemon Day in general. Happy Pokemon Day, because this video probably uploaded on Pokemon Day. So happy Pokemon Day 2024. It has been 28 years of the Pokemon franchise existing, which is very, very interesting, very, very fun, very, very cool. And yeah, that is all I have for you all again today. So I hope that you all do well. I hope that you're all doing well and staying safe. And I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to make you happy, because I'm Generic Happy. I will be recording a reaction to the Pokemon Presents when it airs. So please look forward to that. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.